Welcome back everybody to my coverage of F1 2018 testing. We're at day 6 now, only 2 days left after today. We're in week 2, day 2, if you want to do it that way. And it's another familiar name on top of the timesheets. Daniel Ricciardo was on top once again. He was in the first week on the first day of testing, and now he is on the second day of week 2. He totaled 165 laps. That's nearly as much as Red Bull did in the whole of the first week. Very impressive from Red Bull and Ricciardo today, especially considering the issues they've had with that Renault engine, which looks like it's going to have a lot of issues this season, like it did at the end of last season. So fingers crossed that's not the case. I didn't think it would be going into the season, and hopefully it's just teething problems for some, hopefully, high performance upgrades, but it's not 100% looking like it at the moment. But like I say, Ricciardo was on top of today's session with a time of 1 minute 18.047 on the hypers, yes, but someone said to me that Mercedes weren't sandbagging the other day when they had a time of 1 minute 20. Well, there you go, they were. they were. Hamilton was in second on a 1 minute 18. So, yeah, but overall, just in the day in general, it's definitely a mixed bag up and down the field. Like I say, Ricciardo was top, very solid running from Red Bull. Mercedes and Ferrari used both sets of drivers, as in Bottas, Hamilton, Vettel and Raikkonen, all 4 of them came out. Mercedes doing 175 laps and Ferrari doing 115, so great job from them. And just if you were interested, it was Lewis Hamilton out of those 4 drivers that had the most laps with 90, but overall it was Ricciardo who had the most throughout the session of any driver. But when I say a mixed bag of results, McLaren. More issues, and it was very early on it happened. So at the beginning of the day, it was Fernando Alonso today in the car, if you didn't know. At the beginning of the day, it was all clear that yesterday's issues were to do with the battery, same as Red Bull, and one of you guys commented on that yesterday's video and cleared that up for me, so thank you so much for that. But multiple sources I've seen later as well has also confirmed it, so again thank you for commenting. That was great, that was, to see that you guys are doing that. Really good stuff from you, so thanks again. But today they have more issues, McLaren. Red Bull didn't. Red Bull were flying, but McLaren nowhere. And after 47 laps, an oil leak in the engine today is what has been confirmed. Stopped Fernando's running, and he did no more laps until 12 minutes to go. That was this morning that Fernando caused the red flag and had his oil leak. And 12 minutes to go till the end of the session. They were able to do 10 more laps. He ended the day in 6th. At 14 isn't awful, but he was on the hypersofts, and they were behind a Toro Rosso. So, yes, limited running. Yes, they had issues, but it's not good enough for McLaren this week. It's not, and they've got a lot of catching up to do. The last 2 days have been dreadful, and these final 2 days now, they've got to have no issues. They've got to pretty much get 200 laps out of each day. They're going to have to just do race stint after race stint. I mean, not impressed. And considering they wanted to be winning races, it's not looking promising for them whatsoever. But I'm going to move on now to the full list, the full classification of today's testing. And like I said, it was Ricciardo on top with a 1 minute 18.0. Lewis Hamilton was in second with a 1 minute 18.4. And Valtteri Bottas was in third with a 1 minute 18.5. So very close from the 2 Mercedes drivers. Hamilton did only 5 more laps than Bottas, so very solid as it looks so far. Vettel was in 4th in the Ferrari with a 1 minute 19.5 on the soft tyres though, so a second behind Bottas, but on a compound, 2 compounds harder, so very interesting there. Brendan Hartley was in 5th on the hypersofts with a 1 minute 19.8. Fernando Alonso was in 6th, also on the hypersofts and also with a 1:19.8. Sainz was 7th in Renault with a 1 minute 20. Both Renault drivers would come out today. Grosjean was 8th. And actually, he's a driver that's not been out much in testing so far, just like Hamilton. He managed to clock up 78 laps. On the soft tyres was his fastest lap with a 1 minute 20. Raikkonen was 9th with a 1 minute 20, only did 49 laps Raikkonen. Less than Alonso, actually, just interesting to note. 10th was Stroll in the Williams with a 1 minute 20. Williams having quite a quiet testing so far. 11th was Hulkenberg in the 1 minute 20. On the super softs, he done 102 laps, so I definitely think there were either some little issues going on there at Renault, or Hulkenberg just wasn't pushing flat out fully. 12th was Ocon in the Force India, who did manage to get 130 laps, which, looking at last week's running, great stuff there from Ocon. With the Force India not looking good in the pre-season. I've said it before and I'll say it again if you've not seen any of my other videos on testing. A lot of their issues at the moment is going on with Vijay Mallya's legal battle, so that's the owner of Force India, and they're going through a big rebranding behind the scenes, it looks like, and a potential takeover to become a new F1 team. So I think that's where a lot of their issues and lack of running has come from. 13th was Leclerc for the Sauber, 160 laps, the second most of the day. He did cause a red flag right at the very end of the session, going off onto the gravel trap, but nothing major. Second time he's done that though this week, so hopefully it's not a reoccurring theme throughout the season and it's just testing woes. And at the rear of the field again was Sergei Sorokin in the Williams, who was 2 seconds behind Leclerc on a compound harder. So Sorokin, 80 laps done. And just before we go, I just want to go through Leclerc and Sorokin, the two full-time rookies this year. Obviously we've got Hartley and Gasly who are going to make their full season debuts this season as well. But Sorokin and Leclerc, we've never seen them in an F1 race. And I think, judging at this testing, I think both of them could be in for a surprise when they show up in Australia. And I definitely think Stroll, judging by this week in particular, has looked far superior over Sorokin. You look today, both of them on the same compounds. Sorokin did 20 laps more than Lance Stroll, and yet Lance Stroll was 2 seconds quicker than Sorokin. I think Stroll is an underrated driver. I don't think he's one of the best on the grid, of course, but he is only 19, and I definitely think his progression last season was very impressive. Sorokin, it could be the same, and as I've said all week, it could just be sandbagging. Leclerc as well, the Alfa Romeo, we don't know where that is. We don't know what sort of pace it is, and Leclerc, it'll be about continuously beating Ericsson. Pascal Wehrlein, did he do that? Well, at the beginning of the season he did, and at the end of the season, not so much, especially in qualifying, but in the race he did. But I think Wehrlein was unfairly treated. Leclerc won't be. So Leclerc will be safe in that seat. He's going to be safe in Formula 1 for a long time as Charles Leclerc, unless he's an awful Maldonado, explode in every car in sight sort of guy, but I don't think he will. But he's got to sort of polish off these edges of spinning off, but I'm sure he's going to be a top driver and end up in a Ferrari one day. I think that's definitely the case. So anyway guys, that was testing day 6. Pretty solid day. 2 more days to go of testing. Just under 3 weeks now until the season gets underway in Australia. Very, very excited indeed. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.